Well, one of the things that we've been discussing a lot with Coach Jazz in the press conference, I'm sure you've been studying on film, is that I thought the first 6 weeks, 7 weeks of the season, y'all tackled real well. The last few weeks, not as well. Like, when y'all look at film, what's been the difference?
Well, I think a big part of it is you got to just get the guy on the ground. So you got to have your body on him. You can't reach, you can't lunge, you can't be out of position. You got to make sure you put we like to say, your eyes and your chest on the ball carrier. If not, good running backs are going to make you miss and make you miss in space. You know what I mean? So you got to make sure you put your body on the ball carrier. Then you got to have more than one hand to the ball too. You know what I mean? So if I got 2, 3 guys, if he cuts my inside pad, I got another guy there to fit him up, another guy to show up. So I think that all that kind of encompasses it a little bit. And then eventually you got to get him on the ground. Like, put your eyes on him, wrap him up, and get him on the ground. So I think all that kind of is telling or encompassing. We got to do all that stuff.
The Texas State running back had his style. He was pretty quick. Then I thought the Georgia State running back was a pretty physical runner. He was good. Y'all did a good job with the South Alabama back. We know how good and what he's done. And then, Arkansas State's back surprised me. They did really well. Like, where does Vidal just broke all of Troy's rushing record. So where does he fit into all those kind of rushing style? How good is he?
Well, he's a player. He's a good ball player. Like you said, he's all-time leading rusher in Troy history. You know what I mean? And he'll have a chance. He got another year. He'll have a chance to be the Sun Belt all-time leading rusher. So he's a ball player. You know what I mean? He's a really good ball player. Cuts your inside pad, has good balance, good feet, good stiff arm, physical back, reads it well, is patient. So he's just as good as any of them. You know what I mean? So this league, every week you got to show up, though. You know what I mean? This league, they got backs every freaking week. So you got to show up and be on your A game and strike them and get them on the ground. And that's what you got to have, and that's the mindset and mentality you got to have weekly. I mean, I don't care who you line up against. You just name 4 of them off, right? You just name 4. The week after that, they're going to have another back. You know what I mean? That's a good ball player. He might not be as touted or whatever, but they're all going to be good ball players, and you got to be on your A game to get them on the ground. And I just think that's kind of what you got to do, or how you have to approach everything.
All of those, and I even left out 1 or 2, were good teams that did a lot of good things. Troy seems to have been more consistent than anyone. Is it the offensive line? I mean, what do you see from a defensive standpoint? What has allowed them to be more consistent than all those other very capable teams that we talked about?
And I think they just know who they are. You know what I mean? They know who they are, and they stick to it, right? They're going to stick to it, and they're going to hand the ball off. That's what they're going to do. And they got a good offensive line. They got good tight ends. They got a good scheme. They got a good backs. They know who's their better players, and they're going to make sure those guys get the ball and they touch it. And they're not going to deviate from that at all. It don't matter if they're up by 10, down by 10, about 30, they're going to stick to their guns. I think that's kind of the main thing with them. When you see them play on offense, defense, teams, they know who they are, and they're going to stick to it weekly. You'll see it every week. That's who they are. So I think that's what they do the best. And they got good players. You know what I mean? They got good players, and they can make the plays. They make the plays. So I think that's the main thing. They know who they are. They got good players, and they execute. So that's what we got to do.
Where, from what you've seen in practice so far, is I know you're mainly talking about your guys that you coach, which play a big part in the run defense, but where are they after, obviously no one played particularly well in Jonesboro, and I thought y'all played hard and played better the other night. It just didn't go your way for all kind of crazy reasons. Where are y'all mentally, do you think?
You better be ready to play mentally. That's what it is. You can't, ain't no woe is me. You know what I mean? The tickets are printed. You know what I mean? So we're going to play the game. So get out of your feelings, get out of your head, whatever it is. I don't care you gimped up. I don't care you hurt. I don't care you got this, you got a shoulder. Nobody care about none of that. It's about having your mind right and controlling what you can control and go out there and play your hardest and go execute. That's what it's about. And then when the play's in your lap, you got to make the play. All right, it ain't, okay, I execute and I'm where I'm at, and then I don't make the play. That ain't it. We got to make the play. And I think that's the mindset you got to have. I want the play on me, and I got to go make it. I want that, and I don't even want to call it pressure, but I want that play in my lap so I can go get it on the ground. And that's the mindset you got to have, and that's the mindset I try to preach into them, and it's the mindset we're trying to take. And we just got off the field. It was a good practice. People flew around and did a good job. So we got to continue working that way and just continue chopping that way.
What does the quarterback do that may be even better than some of the other guys y'all face?
Now the quarterback's, he's grown a lot since last year. You know what I mean? I think he was kind of a manager a little bit last year. I think now he has a little bit more confidence to him. I think he's feeling his weapons outside a little bit more, so he'll throw it down the field a little bit more, and he trusts those guys. You know what I mean? So he gunslings it a little bit more than people would think or then advertise. Like you watch some of them South Alabama games, stuff like that. Guys kind of cover. He's like, I'm letting it go. I'm throwing it there in the tight windows and trying to make plays. So I think that's another challenge, right? That's another challenge that you got to have. You got to stop the run game, but then they can throw it over your head too. So you got to make sure you're doing a good job in that regard as well. So I think that's the underrated part of it a little bit. When you watch their explosives and stuff like that, they're going to run it. He's on toted. He got all the accolades, but number 6 can play, 1 can play, 11 can play. Like, they got skilled guys on the outside as well, and 18 gets them the ball. So you got to be ready to roll.
Obviously, Minnesota's a Big Ten school, but this is, on paper, as big a challenge as y'all had this year. Am I looking at it right?
Oh, yeah, you are. You're looking at it correct, and that's how we got to approach it, and that's what it is. All right, that's a big challenge. They're going to line up. They're going to line up in big personnels and come try to get after you a little bit. So you got to be up to the challenge and shoot down on that mouthpiece a little bit. Let's get ready to roll.